So last night after Timcast IRL, we had the Arizona primary results up on the display, and it wasn't looking too good for Kari Lake. And I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a sweeping landslide victory. No, I thought she would do really well. And I'm looking at all these other states where they're, Blake Masters wins. These Trump-endorsed candidates are all winning. But Kari Lake was behind by like 4 points. And I was like, what? How is that possible? She's got massive name recognition. She was a journalist in the state for decades. She is the Trump-backed candidate. She's got everything in the mix to win this handily. Well, Kari Lake has declared victory now that she is up about 1.8 percentage points. So I go to bed, I wake up, I take a look at NPR, and boom, there she is in the lead, set to win. Now, they're not projecting her win yet. I should say the news outlets and electioneers or whatever the word is for the people who tabulate this stuff. But they are saying that she has secured enough votes, and based on the remaining districts, it seems extremely unlikely she will lose. Still, the media is saying Trump-backed Kari Lake prematurely declares victory in Arizona, in the Arizona Republican governor primary. And they're saying the move is dangerous because who knows what's going to happen. Yeah. Of all the counties that have come in, Maricopa is the one that's swinging for the other lady. And look, I'm not from Arizona. I don't know what people want in the state. They don't live there. I know Kari Lake. She's come on the show several times. I think she's fantastic. I respect her positions on solving the border crisis. Apparently, even now, Joe Biden does. And that's got to mean something. Joe Biden wants to go and repair parts of the wall, fill the gaps. Okay, well, if he's coming out now and saying that, and they got a problem up in D.C. and New York with these illegal immigrants, maybe Kari Lake was right about that. As for everything else, look, the people of Arizona need to decide. And it looks like they're deciding on Kari Lake. Of course, the media is saying it's premature. We have other big news. Trump-backed candidates are sweeping. We've got this from the Detroit News. Trump-backed Gibbs ousts Meyer in Michigan GOP race for Congress. Ah, yes, those impeachment Republicans are getting purged. Oh, you'll love to see it. All of these Republicans that were like, I'm going to vote for impeachment, they're out. Okay, now I don't think all of them are out, but they're all getting knocked down. Here's the best part. This was actually Democrats' plan. No joke, this was their plan. They wanted John Gibbs to win. They think that because John Gibbs is backed by Trump, he will lose a general. I don't think so. It's really simple math, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I will say this as we move forward. Every single person looking at the news, the misery index, the Democrats losing, Kari Lake presumably winning, you don't stop when the enemy is in retreat. You advance and you take the battleground. If they are expected to lose Congress by 30 to 40 seats, now is the time to advance, to yell charge, to call up every friend you have, every family member, and say, we are going to vote in November. Because I will tell you this. Everything is lining up to tell you now is your chance. Take the opportunity and don't sit back thinking you got this. Well, my point is, the Democrats think propping up Trump candidates is going to help them. It's insane to me. People are going to vote for a ham sandwich over these failed policies. But the best part is, when you take a look at the Arizona primary results, you can see there are more people voting in the Republican primaries. I mean, just simply put, in the governor's race, you've got are they giving us the total here? They're not giving us the total. We can do some simple math. You got about 457,000 votes in the Democrat primary. In the Republican primary, you're over 600,000. Simply put, Republican turnout is through the roof. If you put money behind Trump candidates when the elections are showing that primary turnout is through the roof, what do you think is going to happen in November? Now, maybe, in this instance, Mark Kelly, for instance, he's running unopposed. He's the Democratic nominee for re-election. Maybe it's hard to tell in that capacity. But when you look at the governor race, you can see the Democrats did not turn out. Or maybe, here's what they're saying. This is the trick. They're saying Democrats are secretly voting for Republicans so that Kari Lake is the candidate and then she can't possibly win. They're saying Katie Hobbs is way up. Okay, well, look at this. Katie Hobbs got 350,000 votes. Kari Lake's got 294,000 with 79.6 votes counted to Katie Hobbs' 77.8. So it's comparable there. More people turned out for the Republican primary than the Democrat. Now, you expect me to believe that's because Democrat primary voters jumped over to the Republican primary? I don't buy it. I do not buy it. Let's read this story, though, and see what's going on. But first, my friends, before we get started, head over to timcast.com, become a member to support our work, and you'll get access to exclusive segments from the Timcast IRL uncensored after show. You can see that we've got the breaking news. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt is the projected winner of the Republican primary election. A lot of primary news coming in. But if you want to support our work and get access to our shows, go to timcast.com, become a member, and smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Share the show if you really like it. Here's the story from Mediaite. Kari Lake is the Trump-backed and election-denying GOP candidate running for Arizona governor, and true to form, prematurely declared victory Wednesday morning before all the votes were counted. Come on. It's just a stupid article to write. Here's what I don't like. This is an opinion piece. What they should write is the facts. Kari Lake declares victory in Arizona. That's it. Prematurely. That's an opinion. It literally is. The analysts looking at this information are just opinion people. Like, well, based on how many votes are probably left, and based on the leaning of these areas in the polling, she might not lose. She might be right. Okay, well, it's an opinion. They go on to say, true to form, prematurely declared victory before all votes were counted. The former local news anchor turned Republican firebrand addressed a throng of her supporters at the 1 a.m. hour, assembled at a Scottsdale hotel. And with less than 70% of the vote counted and nary a four-figure lead, had the temerity to say, there is no path to victory for my opponent, and we won this race, period. She then reiterated her preemptive and unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud, adding, but there's tons of problems with the system. You know, I got to say, I'm not a fan of the fraud narrative. I think it is voter suppression, and y'all know that. But I do think Kari Lake, I mean, I'll tell you this, when she was down in the polls, people were saying, like, see, this proves it. How could all of the Trump-endorsed candidates be doing so well and Kari Lake be down? And I'm like, Kari Lake is winning now. Now, we'll see. But even Mediaite, calling it premature, admits that there's really no path for her opponent to win. Far be it from me to assert I know what's going to happen. I'll tell you that right now. Writing for the Arizona Republic, Stacey Barchanger reports, I wanted to come out tonight. I want to say, wow, we already have the final results, but we know how our election systems work and they don't work well. And that's one of the reasons why I'm standing here. She cast a ballot shortage in Pinal County as something more than the result of unprecedented demand for in-person ballots, and county officials said earlier in the day. They knew we were going to have record turnout because we aren't going to take it anymore. 1 hour into voting, they ran out of ballots. What the hell is going on? This is why we're in this race. This is why we have this movement right here. I mean, what is she saying? They're acting like it's apocalyptic, that Kari Lake is like, why did they run out of ballots? That shouldn't have happened. Yes, that shouldn't have happened. Print more. Here we go. I love this. At the time of publishing this story, Lake has a slight but not significant lead over her opponent, Karen Taylor Robson. With 80% of the vote counted, she is up just over 10,000 votes, a lead which she seems a favorite to hold and win the race, though it is still statistically too close to call definitively. This is why her preemptive declaration of victory and flouting of election norms is seen as dangerous. No, people do this all the time. You know, they play, it's preemptive. Dude, people declare victory when it looks like they're going to win. Trump did not invent that. Neither did Kari Lake, nor did Kari Lake. They say while election result denying behavior of our political mentor, former President Donald Trump, is seen by so many as pernicious action, that is causing serious harm to America's electoral system and democracy itself. Look, I actually kind of agree with that. I know I'm a fan of Kari Lake. She's fantastic. It was an honor and a privilege to have her on the show more than once. I respect her position on 2A. I respect her position on the border. But I do believe the constant fraud narrative hinders voter turnout when you need to maximize it. Now, I will say, right now, her lead is over 10,000. It's about 11,000 or so, just 11,200 and some odd. So it's giving her, the results are still cranking forward. And she's got about like a 1.7% lead. It depends on the source. Like I saw 1.8 from a different source. Maybe they're rounding up, rounding down. It is not, right now, based on the amount of votes she has, based on the remaining jurisdictions and votes to come in, it does not seem likely Kari Lake will lose. But 10,000 votes. She's pulled ahead. I'm glad to see it. We will see. We will see, my friends. Now, here's what I really, really want to get into. Trump-backed Gibbs ousts Meyer in Michigan GOP race for Congress. Oh, man. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. From NBC News, July 27th. House Democrats, as well as some Republicans, are ripping into the Democratic Congressional Committee for airing a TV ad amplifying the right-wing positions of GOP candidate John Gibbs. You did this. You helped him win the primary. Great. You know, the funny thing is, they're thinking that come November, they're going to beat this guy. I don't. The misery index says they're going to lose basically everything. So I only need say, congratulations, Democrats. If the Trump candidates win in November, and it's likely they will based on all of the polling, maybe they won't. I don't know. It'll be thanks to you. That's right. The Democrats who came out and were funding heavily their opponents. Now, Kari Lake should have won decisively if that was the pattern, right? I mean, the Democrats' Governor Association was putting money into the Trump candidates. Were they not putting money into Kari Lake? Should she have not won more definitively? Why are they coming out in the media saying Kari Lake is losing, she was never going to win, when it's supposedly their strategy to make sure that the MAGA candidates do win? You see, it's because they're full of it. Gibbs won because Gibbs was the preferred candidate. Kari Lake is up in the polls right now because people prefer her, at least as far as we can see right now. Maybe that will change. The point is, you can't play it both ways, Democrats, coming out and being like, actually, the Trump candidates are winning because we want them to, and Kari Lake is going to lose. Sorry, I don't buy it. I think they were trying to get Kari Lake's opponent to win. I don't think they want Kari Lake to win. I think they don't want Trump candidates to win, period. And they're just, you know, the meme of the Wojak and he's crying and he's wearing the mask with the smiling, smirking face? That's them right now. Your strategy makes no sense when all of the polling suggests Democrats will be routed. Why would you fund these candidates? They're full of it. They come out and they say it's apocalyptic, and then they fund what they claim is the apocalypse. It is a political false flag. Brilliant. We have this tweet from this communist. I don't know who this guy is, but he's got a sickle and hammer in his profile name. And he said, Democrats are actively helping fund the campaigns of far-right candidates, including $425,000 in ads for a Trump-endorsed Michigan House candidate and $1.2 million in ads for Trump-backed Maryland governor candidate, and telling their base it's a strategy to beat the GOP in November. Well, my understanding, it's not working. Right now, they want Kari Lake to lose. Shouldn't they support her? I'm pretty sure that in Maryland, the Trump candidate, I don't think he won. I'm not sure. I could be wrong about this. Spare me your lies. Now, here's what I got to say. I love this one. I love this one from azcentral. If Kari Lake's dream came true, it would make Donald Trump unable to be president again. This one's actually really funny. If the Republican candidate for governor got her legally impossible wish to decertify the Arizona election and declare Trump the 2020 winner, it would prevent him from running in 2024. It's funny because it's technically true, but like not reality. Here's what I love about all this election stuff. These people come out and they're like, there's no legal path. It's legally impossible to decertify an election. What do you mean it's legally impossible? There's no law saying you can or can't. So it's just humans doing things. This is the amazing thing to me. This is what holds people back. Let me explain it to you. You want to learn how to succeed. You want to learn how to strive and survive and be the best, the very best, and build a big company. It's simple. Stop thinking this way. People think in such rigid terms. If it's not been done, it can't be done. What? There's a first time for everything. I wonder why I have this worldview outside of these frameworks, thinking outside the box. Dude, just because it's not been done and just because it's not outlined, it doesn't mean it's impossible. It means precedent must be set. But there are people who look at the barren shores of North America and say, well, you can't possibly live there. There's no farms. It's like, yeah, bro, you got to go make the farms. You shape the world. You decide to. I'll give it to you this way. So I know a lot of people and they're like, I need a job. And I say, why do you need a job? And they say, got to pay my bills. And I say, what do you need to pay your bills? And they're like, what? What do you need to pay your bills? Money. And how do you get money? A job. Wrong. You get money by convincing a person who has money to hand it to you. You know, when you think, I remember watching this video. There was a guy, he's like the human calculator. And he said the problem for kids is they're taught the numbers are 1 through 10, when you should be teaching them the numbers are 0 through 9, the single digits. And if you're taught math that way, it's really easy to calculate numbers. Like it's fairly simple, right? I mean, the human brain is powerful. It should be able to do it. I tell people, look, if you enter this world thinking the only way to get money is to ask someone for a job, then you're going to be left out. The reality is you make money by figuring out ways to get money from people. Now, there are legal rules, like don't scam people. What I'm saying is if you see a guy who's holding a dollar bill, you go up to him and say, what do I got to do to convince you to give me that dollar bill? Maybe the guy wants a high five. You know, maybe they want a hug. You know, just nobody loves me. And you say, let me give you a hug, buddy. It's like, wow, that feels really good. You know what? I'm going to give you this $1. I don't know if you can legally buy or trade hugs. I don't know. It's probably fine. But the point is, you pick up a rock and say, I've got a shiny rock and you've got $1. You want to give me the $1 for the rock? The guy might be like, why would I want that rock? And you can say, it's a pretty cool rock, isn't it? And the guy might be like, you know what? You're right. I do want your rock. It's really that simple. So when we talk about what Kari Lake is trying to do, yeah, when Republicans take power, they'll be able to do literally whatever they want. They're like, there's no legal framework for it. They'll make it. Duh. There was no legal framework for creating a new nation. That's the crazy thing to me. You'd think these drunk dudes got together and they're like, what's the legal rules for how we declare independence? I say drunk because Ian was mentioning last night on IRL that there was a bar tab list for the night before, like, you know, they signed the Declaration or whatever for the Convention of States. And they had like 160 bottles of liquor between 60 people. Like, yo, that's like 2 bottles per person. More than that. It's almost 3 bottles a person. These guys were hammered. How they did not die of alcohol poisoning is beyond me. Maybe it was a lower percentage back then. But these guys got wasted. And they're like, you know what? I'm signing it. And then they declare independence or whatever. The Crown was like, you can't do this. It's illegal. I'm not saying Kari Lake is right. I don't like the fraud narrative. I got to tell you, it is really frustrating because what I want to hear, I like what Kari Lake says when she's like, we're going to secure the border. I'm like, thank you. I like what she says when she says, I'm for 2A. And I'm like, thank you. I don't care for the fraud stuff. You're not telling me anything. Look, I get the concerns and I want all of it to be investigated. I want people to feel safe and secure. I want confidence in our election system. And if it's not there, something is wrong. It has to be fixed. You can't ignore the problem. But you can tell me that. Fine. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm going to say, okay, cool. But please, please, please just campaign on what you are going to do when you win. Are you going to go, members of Congress, are you going to go in and launch investigations into the illicit business dealings of the Biden family, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's involvement, things that may still be going on today that we think are? We need an inquiry into this. Joe Biden's cranking out money to Ukraine. Now, we had Rick Santorum on. He said nothing that Biden's done has been impeachable. I reject that. I will challenge that. He's technically correct. But if it is true that Joe Biden enacted a quid pro quo previous to becoming president and now is passing favors to them by dumping money into their country, sounds suspect to me. I want an inquiry. I want an inquiry into Fauci and the CDC and their flip-flopping. Dr. Birx, what she's coming out and said about the vaccines. What? I want an inquiry. I want to hear that. So in this regard, I can respect it. Now that we're going to decertify, no, hold your horses there. Tell me you're going to go in and restore confidence in the elections. You've got my support, okay? Because we're going to clean up the voter rolls or do anything like that, fine. But Donald Trump needs to come out and say the economy is bad. It is the Democrats' fault, and I'm going to fix it. That's what I want to hear. Because if I'm not hearing that, and all I hear is 2020, 2020, 2020 over and over again, I'm going to be like, yo, give me DeSantis. The one thing Trump has over his hands right now as to why I'd prefer him for 2024 is firing everybody. Please, fire them all. I want to see it. Now, here's where it gets fun. Kansas votes to preserve abortion rights protection in its constitution. Really? In a red state? Things are going to get spicy. Do you know what bleeding Kansas is? Yeah. A red state. Going pro-choice. I don't know about all that. I'm going to imagine that we're getting dangerously close to some kind of bleeding Kansas phase. And it's funny that Kansas is the fractured state. A red state preserving a constitutional right to abortion seems very strange. But we'll see. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just fourth and fifth generational warfare. We're going to see, we're going to see Antifa-style insurgency, and we're going to get propaganda and things like that. I don't know. I just know that we are in for a heck of a ride in November, and I am so excited. We're going to have burgers on the grill. We'll probably, on midterm election night, we'll probably do like an extended show of some sort. We're planning an IRL live event in Austin. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and that's just before the election. So things will get particularly interesting. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.